Hi there, folks. Chris Gunn here from ChrisSellsFlorida.com. I'm a realtor in the Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, Parish North River area. If you need my cell phone number, so you have it, it's 941-224-9005. You can call or text me anytime you like. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this question that I get so often. Can I still afford Lakewood Ranch, Florida? And the answer is obviously going to be different for everyone, and the whole dynamic of the real estate market has changed in the last couple of years. Everybody knows this. Everybody's been talking about this. If you're watching this video, you are probably already very well educated on the fact that things cost more than it did even yesterday. And for Lakewood Ranch, that is very much no different. And so what I deal with are a lot of people saying, okay, I thought I could afford Lakewood Ranch, but maybe as I get deeper into this and we kind of decide what kind of lifestyle that we want, what kind of things that we want in our home, the size and the square footage of the home, by the time you maybe even look at lot premium increases and things like that, and the fact that by the time that the inventory even becomes available for me to purchase, maybe the interest rate increases will actually price me out of the market. All of these things are legitimate questions to be asking, because Lakewood Ranch, for a $600,000 home purchase buyer a couple of years ago, would have been a very good budget to work with. Today, I'm not even sure that you can find that. So let's start with, can I even get something for $600,000? Yeah, you can get something for $600,000. I mean, if you're looking for a condo or a townhome or maybe a 1,650 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a 2-car garage, yeah, you can definitely find something for about the $600,000 range. Now, view's questionable, age is questionable, need in terms of what I would say making it look like it was a home built after about 2017. Those are all different things. So let me talk about style first. First of all, there is a demarcation point in style in Lakewood Ranch, and this is going to be one of the major price differentials that you see in the market. It's moving away from the Spanish/Italian style and moving more to what I would call like that Cape Cod shiplap type style home. And so what you're finding is there is such a desire for the wider, the brighter, the more modern lined homes that they go for $200,000 and $300,000 above what a home probably should go for if it were appraised properly, because the tile Spanish roof, it just isn't desirable anymore. Maybe if you go down to Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, it's a little bit different. But what I can tell you is that the homes that have that kind of style sell for less, and they require so much more renovation once you get to it. So yeah, you might be able to get a home for $1 million that is a good size, but the amount of remodeling that you would have to do to bring it into the 2020s is just going to be paramount. It's not going to be worth it. So those properties, they sit on the market just a little bit longer, and they don't go for maybe 100% of asking price. Maybe they go for 99.5. I mean, darn. But in reality, that's what you're facing. So you have that demarcation in price there. The second demarcation point that you have is always going to be in terms of geography. So let me walk you through. If you've been doing research long enough to wonder if Lakewood Ranch is affordable for you anymore, you've probably been doing some research. You know a little bit of the lay of the land in terms of geography. So we're talking about everything east of the interstate, generally south of the Manatee River. Okay, and what you used to find is that if you went north of the Manatee River, there was about a $100,000 to $125,000 price drop. And so for a lot of people, there was an incentive to be able to go into the Parish and North River area and find something just a little bit cheaper. And then what had happened in 2017, the Fort Hamer Bridge was opened. So the merge that has happened between North River and Lakewood Ranch has really, it's become more like one. And I can tell you, once they figure out the roads and they get everything dealt with and they build a second bridge, and I mean, we're talking 5 years down the road, maybe even at a minimum, then it'll really feel like one area. Lakewood Ranch will always be Lakewood Ranch, and North River Parish will always be North River Parish. But at the end of the day, what you're finding is that there may be less of a focus on Lakewood Ranch as, ooh, Lakewood Ranch. as it has been in the past. Lakewood Ranch is Lakewood Ranch really for a couple of reasons. First of all is because of the age of it. It has just been there longer. There has been access in terms of transportation to it for a lot longer than Parrish and North River has had. And so it's just got that factor to it. So there is more of an established presence. There's more established schools. There's more established commercial areas for people to shop and people to enjoy themselves. So you have more town centers. You have more things going on. Where North River Parish is still country land just being transitioned into something of value. So give it time. It will be there. But you've had that option of being able to get in for a little bit cheaper because you're buying futures into an area that 5 to 10 years down the road is going to be something of greater value. So getting back to the question, can I still afford Lakewood Ranch? Let's talk about $700,000 or $800,000. So here's where a lot of people find themselves kind of in that range that I talk to. It's a little bit more of a common number. The average household sells for about $750,000 in the Manatee, Sarasota County area. Now, that does not mean median home. Median is the middle. If you take the 400 homes or so that sell every week, it's going to be your 200th home. That's the median. The average is going to be take the price of all the homes added up, and then you're going to divide that number by 400, so you get a higher number typically. Because if you've got, say, a $12 million home in there, that's gonna be an outlier that is going to sway that average north of that number that you would expect to maybe be a little bit lower. So the average number, about $750,000. So if you're in Lakewood Ranch, you can expect your average household cost to be just slightly higher because most of the higher price homes are going to be out there and then, of course, on the coastlines. But with all that said, a $700,000 or $800,000 resale is going to be very difficult. So let me bring my second demarcation point and what people typically are either swayed away or swayed into is how much cash that you have. If you don't have a lot of cash to be able to put down, you're going to be priced out of Lakewood Ranch. Hands down, I can end this discussion for you right now. If you don't have, at least for a new build, 15 to 20% of the price of the property that you're looking to purchase, so okay, if we're looking at $1 million, you're looking at about $150,000, then you're priced out. It's really frustrating and tough to tell people that, hey, your 6 figures of savings or equity that you're going to roll into your new home isn't sufficient. It's really, you're still scratching your head, and it's like, hey, welcome to 2022. This is where we're at now. When, a lot of people, they're like, man, you could buy a home for $50,000, a couple of years ago. In my area, it's such a culture and sticker shock that what we're dealing with right now down here in the Lakewood Ranch Parish area. But that is the reality. Let me give you the second reality on resales. If you cannot compete in terms of your escrow payment, so this is how much money that you say that you're willing to provide in terms of compensation for a property when you go into contract with that individual on that resale property. The more money that you're willing to shell out at the front end, the more serious of a buyer that seller thinks that you are. So coming in with 1% of the price of the home, they're not going to take you as seriously. So if you're trying to get some kind of FHA loan at 3.5% down, I'm sorry, you're just not really going to get it. Now, does it mean that it never, ever, ever happens and there might be that one deal once a month that happens? It's possible, but what I can tell you is extremely rare. If you want to go on the path of least resistance or even just a path of moderate resistance, you're not going to be able to compete with the 20 buyers that are in line for the same house on that resale, especially if it is, again, a more modern property that has more white rather than beige, that has more of a black and gray contrast in terms of roof and gutter line and everything versus a red and clay colored tone. So these are two very important things to have as you're deciding whether or not it's something that you can afford. Now, where is Lakewood Ranch? Because Lakewood Ranch can mean a lot of different things. It can mean really everything south of the river east of the interstate in Manatee County. And if you're south of University, which is where the county line is, it is getting absorbed into that area. So that could mean Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood Ranch could mean anything within a very close proximity to the Lakewood Ranch Town Center, Lakewood Ranch Medical Center, the Waterside Town Center, University Town Center. And so for me, the pull and the draw for Lakewood Ranch has historically been the commerce centers. Well, now what you're facing is that a lot of the residential is older in that area, especially once you're north of University Boulevard. So there's really not a new home play there. There's really not something that wouldn't require a significant amount of remodel. And when I say significant amount, I mean most of these homes were built sometime 2006 and prior. So there isn't really this draw in terms of design to that area without putting in and shelling out some dollars to do the work. If you like that sort of thing, then great. If that's not up your alley, then that's something that you're going to have to take into consideration. In the last couple of years, being really the post-COVID society that we're in now, the Lakewood Ranch new development has been east of the north to south road of Lorraine Road, and it has been generally north of University Boulevard. So the Lakewood Ranch draw is more eastward and out that way. So here's what I see that is being lost when you start to go that direction. Well, you have to decide what your lifestyle desire is for living in Lakewood Ranch. If it is to be close to the beach, well, now you're starting to get to where you're an hour east of the beach. And I mean, there is going to be a threshold where people decide, you know what, I'm just not going to keep going east and east and east. And that's where all the development is going. That's where it has to go. And so if you're headed that far east and you want to be close to the beach, what you're finding is that generally there is less of a desire for people to go out that way and also pay $800,000 to do it. The south part of Lakewood Ranch, which is south of University Boulevard, east of the interstate, has been in a developing stage for the last couple of years. This is their heyday. There's a lot more developments that are being released now. There's more plots that are becoming available to the neighborhoods. These are neighborhoods like Lake House Cove and the Waterside area. And so what you're going to see over there is that there's just going to be such a desire for people to move there, and prices are just increasing dramatically. I mean, homes that were going for $1.1 million last year in 2021 and 2022, I'm seeing these going for close to $2.4, $2.5 million. I mean, you're talking astronomical prices for, man, what you could have gotten a year ago. And so a lot of people as well are weighing the costs of, okay, can I have a pool now? If I pay more, is it really worth it at the end of the day? Yeah, you know what? I'll use more of my cash out of my IRA, or I'll pull my money out of the market and I'll go ahead and just throw it in. I know that interest rates are going up, so maybe I'd rather just go ahead and throw some of my cash down rather than finance. Everybody has their different reasons. Everybody has their different desires. And really what you're finding is that there is still so much of a market that people want to spend money. People want to come to Florida. People still desire to come to this area. It is not slowing down. It is not stopping. It might be mitigated out of a frustration point of people just giving up for a temporary amount of time. But as their knowledge and their education and their desires and their needs change, the consistency is still there. It is not changing whatsoever. So let's say you have a $1 million budget. What does a $1 million budget get you? So I have a very common thread of about $1 million is what people are willing to spend. I don't really want to go over that. Obviously, I'd love to be less, but I understand the market and what's available to me. And then what people who have a $1 million mindset, what can I get for $1 million? They find that they're needing to spend $1.3 to $1.6 million to get what they think $1 million can get them. They're like, man, I'm spending $1 million. The least that you could think that I could get is this. And no, you can't. And so people with $1 million are being priced out of the market. So let's come back down. If you're a $500,000 or a $600,000 buyer, it's going to be really tough for you to get into Lakewood Ranch. If you're getting even to the $800,000 price point, what I find is that there are so many people compacted into that price point that even if you are there, there's so much competition right at that point. And then the $1 million people are really, really frustrated. And so there's so many different layers, there are different social dynamics to each of these pocket price points that people are at. So let's see, what is an $800,000 price point going to get you in the North River Parish area? Well, let me use the Moccasin Wallow Road area as a great example. You can go into the neighborhood of West Bay, and they have 2,500 square foot homes. Maybe you can add a bonus room upstairs. Maybe you can make it 900 square feet, something to that capacity. And once you put the design features in, you get your lot premium in there and everything in your building, you're really about that $900,000 to $1 million price point, and that's what you find. So if you move west of the interstate, you go over to Artisan Lakes. I know I've had commenters in the past say, what about Artisan Lakes? Do you recommend that? I do, but the school district is different there. So if you've got kids, I would say if you've got high school kids specifically, I would avoid Artisan Lakes as a whole. But if you've got young kids, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. You have Esplanade, that they're 2,900 square feet there is going to be about, again, that 875 to 900,000, and here we are at the first part of May in 2022. So if you go down to the south part of Sarasota, that 875 to 900 is going to become 950 to 975. If you go to Lakewood Ranch, you're at 1.1 million. So hopefully that can give you a little bit of the difference in the geography of what you're getting. Then the $500,000 price point. A lot of people are really frustrated because the $500,000 price point just doesn't seem, yet again, there's a common trend here, to get what you think it's going to. I know in my neighborhood right now, I'm in south part of Parish. In my neighborhood right now, there is a 1,600 square foot or 1,675 square feet. It's a 3-2 waterfront property with a small pool, and it needs a complete remodel. I mean, it was made in 2006. It needs a remodel, and they're asking $525,000 for it. Does that give you some sticker shock? I mean, it gives me sticker shock because my house is way, way bigger than that, and I'm in the same neighborhood, and I've been sitting here going, man, $500,000 would be about my price point. But in reality, that's not the price point anymore. So what does $600,000 get you? It used to be if you were looking for a duplex in this area, which they're not very common. And when I say duplex, I also mean villa. This is a semi-attached home that might be about 1,500 to 1,700 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2-bedroom with an optional room and 2 bathrooms with some kind of decent view. It used to be that 2 years ago you could pick up these things for $200,000, $225,000, something like that. Now you're hard pressed to get them for about $400,000. There is so much compression in these markets, and you're sitting here going $400,000 for a villa that's 1,500 square feet. There's a lot of transformation, and so a lot of people ask, is it worth it even in this market? So I say this all the time. What has changed in the last 2 years? What is different today than was different 2 years ago that was different pre-COVID? Has the demand changed? The demand has not changed. It has only increased. Has the supply changed? Well, the supply has changed in terms of the supply chain. It takes longer to build homes. Homes that were being built in 8 months are now taking 14 to 16 months. So yeah, I would say the supply got cut in half. Has the supply been affected by the increase in demand? Yes, it has. So the supply has changed since 2019, but the supply has not changed from 2021 to 2022. The only change in supply that I'm really seeing is that projects that got sped up because of the need for the supply are getting released, and they're coming out, and things that maybe were supposed to be black flat dirt in 2023 are now black flat dirt in 2022. So you're advancing these projects by about a year, and the county has been shoving them through to meet the demand. What else has changed? Well, interest rates have changed. As I stand today, an excellent credited person would be at about 4.75% if they're lucky on a 60 to 90 day interest rate lock. Now, if you're building a home, which in North River and Parish, you definitely are building a home because there's nothing out this way. And resales are a bit overpriced, so you can get in for lower with a new home. But what you're finding is that your interest rates may be close to 6, maybe even 7% by the time that you finish the home. So now what I've seen is that there are interest rate lock increases that I'm seeing. So instead of 180 days, maybe we're able to get a 365-day lock. But do you take the risk on that lock? All these things have to be considered when purchasing a home, because if your interest rate goes up, just a 0.25% on $600,000, you're looking at over $40,000 in additional payments over the life of that loan. That's over $1,000 a year, $100 a month, $125 a month. So 0.25% is a lot when you have interest rates going up 0.25% every 9 weeks. And what I do know, which this is going to age this video, is that the Fed has said that they're raising interest rates 0.25 point at the beginning of May. So all these things have to be taken into consideration. So here's the question. Is, in terms of Lakewood Ranch, in terms of North River Parish, in terms of the market as a whole, are prices going to cap off with interest rates increasing at a rate where now something's got to give? What the market says is that people still have a lot of cash to spend. I know that's not a great answer, and I know that is not a liked answer, but that is the reality. That is what we're facing, is there is still pent-up demand. If you are looking to buy in 2022, what you may see is there's going to be a shifting of the markets and where those people are coming from. What I think is that we are in a post-COVID society. In terms of politics, there is not as much of a push to get people down south, as much of a push to get people down south to what I would call freedom and freedom country. What we are going to see, though, is that Europe has now opened up, and Europe is going to be coming to the United States. And guess what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to buy real estate. So now you're going to have an additional market that has been pent up, wanting to come into this area. So there is so many geopolitical factors that are coming at play, and I just don't see any less of a desire to get into this area from people, even though they're being priced out of the market. What I'm also seeing is that Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Miami-Dade area, all that is now starting to spill to the West Coast, especially as the internationals start coming into the Miami area as a starting point. So you're going to see all of this movement into this area, and it is an incredible area. It is a great, desirable area. And what I can say is there is nothing that pleasures me more than seeing people's posts the first time that they finally made it, and they're taking that picture of their sunset or their view or their dinner at the beach or by the pool or whatever, and they say, guys, we made it. We did it. We stuck it out. It was a long, emotional, grueling process, but we did it. So if you're in this position, what I would find is that with Lakewood Ranch, what is the draw? Why do you want to be there? Is it because somebody told you that you wanted to be there? Is it because of the schools in the area? There's great schools outside of the Lakewood Ranch area. There's going to be great malls outside and great commerce outside of the Lakewood Ranch area. There's going to be great, desirable areas, particularly in North River and Parish, that are closer to the beach. There's going to be more 55-plus communities elsewhere. There's going to be more medical available, especially in the South, but also upcoming in the North. There's going to be that center point that is still accessible to SRQ, to Punta Gorda, to St. Pete International, and Tampa International. And it's still easy to get to Orlando if it's that cheaper for you to do that kind of flying, if for international flying, for example. We're still close to Disney World. We're still close to the beach. It's still great weather no matter where that you're at. So don't just put Lakewood Ranch in a box, because Lakewood Ranch is expanding. And what I'm finding is that the older, although closer geographically to what has historically been the center of Lakewood Ranch, it is becoming less and less desirable because you have to remodel it. So if you want the newer stuff, you got to go out further and you got to pay more. If I had to sum all of this up and answer your question for you, are you a buyer of Lakewood Ranch? This is what I can say. If you're north of $1 million, then you can most likely be a very happy Lakewood Ranch customer. If you're south of $1 million, between 800 and $1 million, what I would say is that you can get in. It's going to be a struggle, but you can do it. There are going to be great properties elsewhere if you'll expand your search just outside of the Lakewood Ranch borders a bit. If you are south of $800,000, can you get into Lakewood Ranch? It's not impossible. You can do it, but get in line. If you don't have a lot of cash, if you don't have the ability to come down with some money to really stand out from the crowd, you're going to have a difficult time. Where should you look? South Sarasota, between Sarasota and Venice, are great areas to look. You can't necessarily get in for that much cheaper, but if it saves you 50 to 100 grand, you might just be at a place where you'll be a little bit more satisfied with what you can get. If you are looking for that much more of a discount, what I'm finding is that people are coming up to Parrish and North River. I think it's more exciting than the Sarasota area. That is a matter of perspective and a matter of personality. It depends on what you're looking to accomplish. I'm a younger individual. I want to be closer to St. Pete and Tampa, where the younger families are. If you are an older person, you might want to be closer to Venice and Siesta Key. If you're a family coming into the area, you're going to want to be closer to the interstate. You're going to want to be a little bit more on the north side. And as you find, the schools will follow you in those areas. So if you are somebody who is very young, like out of college, maybe not even college age, and you're just looking at the real estate market and you're saying, I've got to get in now, I would be looking at Bradenton. And the reason I would look at Bradenton is because it's where historical charm meets the metropolitan factor. I know of a lot of deals happening on the ground right now that are going to create a real oasis in downtown Bradenton. It does not look pretty today, and it is going to go through growing pains. But if you're somebody who is willing to play the long game, you have a little bit more time, you want to stick it out, Bradenton is a lesser desired place to live. But let me tell you something, it's less than 30 minutes to the beach. That is of great desire, especially even to Lakewood ranchers who are an hour from the beach. So that does it for today. If this video was of any help, I really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Shoot me something into the comments. Let me know any questions you might have. You can call, text me, 941-224-9005, and definitely check out one of these other great videos that I have on your screen right now. We'll see you next time.